You've been in rooms where nobody saw you, where conversations formed around you but never included you, where you said something and the silence felt like a verdict. Here's the invisible law nobody told you. The harder you try to matter in a room, the less you do. Not because people are cruel, because status isn't something you claim. It's something a room assigns, and it assigns it based on one signal above everything else: how much you appear to need it. You've spent years trying to be noticed, but the trying was the problem. Every room you walked into needing something from it, you handed away the only thing that was going to give you real power: your indifference to its opinion. And that's good news. You were never invisible. You were just signaling the wrong thing. The man who doesn't need the room to validate him is the most powerful person in it. That's who you're becoming. Here are 5 brutal truths about what happens the moment you stop trying to matter. Truth 1. The room felt your need before you said a word. You walked in, scanned it immediately, located the people who seemed important, adjusted, slightly, almost imperceptibly, how you were carrying yourself, spoke a little more carefully, laughed a little more deliberately, made sure your contributions landed. And the whole time, you believed nobody noticed. They noticed, not consciously, instinctively. Status detection is one of the oldest human instincts we carry. Before language, before hierarchy was spoken, it was read. Through posture, through eye movement, through the barely visible signs of someone calibrating themselves to a room. And the primary signal it detects isn't confidence, it's need. A room doesn't assign status to the man who wants it most. It assigns status to the man who seems to need it least. Which means the moment you walked in, trying to matter, you communicated your position before the conversation began. Truth 2. Trying to matter made you easier to ignore. Here's what most men never understand. The instinct to try harder when you feel invisible is exactly backwards. You contributed more to conversations that weren't including you, spoke louder when nobody seemed to be listening, worked harder to be interesting to people who weren't paying attention. And the harder you worked, the more you confirmed what the room had already decided: that you were someone performing, not someone being. People don't pay attention to what tries to get their attention. They pay attention to what doesn't seem to need it. This isn't cruelty. It's an ancient filtering mechanism. In every social group, the person working hardest to be noticed is instinctively read as the person with the least organic status. Effort toward social recognition produces the opposite of its intended result. The man who tries to be seen becomes the man the room looks through. But something even stranger happens when the effort stops. Truth 3. The shift wasn't in how you acted. It was in what you stopped needing. You've seen it happen to someone, a person who used to be loud in rooms, eager, slightly too present, went quiet, not withdrawn, just settled, and the energy around them changed. People started checking their reactions, started directing conversations toward them, started treating their silence like it held something worth waiting for. The room didn't change because that person learned new social skills. The room changed because that person stopped needing something from it. This is the invisible law most men spend their entire lives one step away from discovering. Status isn't performed, it's radiated. And what it radiates from isn't achievement or appearance or charm. It's the complete absence of social hunger. The moment a man stops needing the room's approval, the room begins to seek his. The dangerous man doesn't walk in trying to matter. He walks in already complete. And completeness, in a room full of people quietly competing for significance, is the rarest and most magnetic thing in it. Truth 4. Invisible status is the only status that can't be taken. Visible status depends on performance, on the room being in the right mood, on people choosing to recognize what you've done, which means it can be withdrawn, ignored, forgotten the moment you leave. But the man who carries status invisibly, who is the same whether the room is watching or not, whether he's being recognized or overlooked, whether the conversation includes him or excludes him, that man cannot be destabilized by a room that decides not to see him, because he wasn't waiting for the room to begin with. Think about every person who ever made you feel their presence without demanding it. They didn't announce themselves, didn't position themselves, didn't perform. They simply occupied space with a completeness that made you aware of them without being able to explain why. That awareness is invisible status, and its source is always the same. The man who doesn't require the room's recognition carries an authority the room cannot grant, and therefore cannot remove. Truth 5. The room changes permanently. The night you stop trying to matter looks quiet from the outside. You don't perform. You don't position. You don't monitor whether you're landing. You simply exist in the room, fully, without apology, without agenda, and let whatever happens happen. And something shifts, not immediately, not dramatically, but the room recalibrates around your stillness. People speak to you differently. Ask your opinion instead of waiting to see if you'll offer it. Notice when you haven't spoken instead of filling the silence themselves. You didn't do anything. That was the point. The absence of trying created a space the room instinctively moved toward filling. The man who needs nothing from a room becomes the thing the room gravitates toward. Because in a world full of people quietly competing for significance, someone who has already decided they have it is impossible to ignore. The room doesn't change because you got louder. It changes because you finally got quiet enough to let it. But here's what this creates. When you stop trying to matter, some people will misread it. They'll think something is wrong. They'll wonder if you've become distant, arrogant, or cold. Let them wonder. Their confusion is simply evidence that the old signal has gone quiet, and they don't yet know what to do with its absence. Because the man who no longer needs the room's validation doesn't disappear when he stops trying. He becomes the still point everything else moves around. Most men spend their lives trying to be the loudest presence in every room. The dangerous man understands something they never will, that the most powerful presence isn't the one that demands to be felt. It's the one that simply cannot be ignored. In our next video, we go even deeper into the invisible power that sits underneath everything we've covered. Because status without emotional control is fragile. The moment someone makes you react, they've taken it back. Most men never realize that their greatest source of power isn't what they do. It's what they refuse to respond to. That's your greatest power. Begins the moment you stop reacting. You won't want to miss it.